Hello everyone, my name's TheOldMeister254 and today we're going to be building a PC. Alright, so this PC is a year and a half and £1,600 in the making. You're going to want to watch the end because the finished PC looks absolutely insane and you'll see how I overcome potentially disastrous mistakes. My first step was to open up the box with the motherboard in and take it out of its plastic prison. And now you have to unbox your CPU. Right there, you can see me doing that. Lovely looking CPU. Wrong CPU, but hey. You'll see why that's not a good thing in like 5 minutes. Not even that long. Then you push down on the latch, holding down the plastic cover, and simply slot the bottom of the CPU into place. Set it down in the correct orientation. Wait, the correct orientation. Let me just turn it a bit. No, that's not working. Dad? Yeah, this is not good. It doesn't fit. Have we got an incompatible motherboard? No, we have an incompatible CPU because Intel, they don't allow more than like flipping 2 CPUs to work with one motherboard. So we had to upgrade our CPU. And then the CPU ended up taking 2 days to arrive. This is when I realised I'd made a potentially devastating mistake, where I had bent some of the pins, which is what actually lets the CPU connect to the motherboard properly, because I'd wiggled it around a bit too much when I was trying to put the previous one in. So we had to get a sewing needle and very, very carefully push the pins back into the right spot, because if you break the pin, well, you don't want to break the pins. That's all I'll say. Next, pull out your sticks of RAM. Pull down the latches on the side, if you can see them. Right there, I pulled them down. Then you just push your RAM into place. The latches should clip back up. Right there. Boom, that worked. Then you just do the same thing with your other RAM stick. These are 16 gig. There we go. Then you pull out your SSD. This is a terabyte. You just push your SSD right into place. Pull out your screwdriver, hold it down, screw it into the right spot so that it does not move. Make sure it's nice and sturdy. Then you apply thermal paste to your CPU. This thermal paste was a bit wet, but we move. It's fine. This is a compilation of me and my father struggling with the CPU cooler and installing the fan the wrong way round. Yeah. Which we'll have to actually change later on, which will tear our family and mental stability completely apart. That was a joke. No families were torn apart, physically or metaphorically. We pull out our RTX 3070, like, what a beautiful graphics card, man. The unboxing experience was pristine. Like, it's just incredible. Like, oh my goodness. It's such a good graphic card. I've tested it a little bit and it's insane. We can take off this little plastic cover and just slot it into place as if it were a stick of RAM. A very large and much more expensive stick of RAM. Now we just pull down the latches and it fits in perfectly. Now we have everything attached to the power supply and plugging in the keyboard in a second. But you can see everything's wired up, everything's attached. There we go, plugging in the keyboard. So this is the pre-build test to make sure everything's working before we put it in the case. And then we power it up, basically. This is me powering it on with a screwdriver. Now this is safe, I think. As you can see, that's the RGB coming on. You can see Linus Tech Tips up in the corner. Without him, I couldn't have done any of this. Like, any of it. That screen is basically telling me that everything's detected, everything's working properly. We're okay. We're free to put it in the case. This is the PC. I've built the PC. Now I just need to fit it in the case. Oh. Now we're taking the case out of its box nice case, quite a big case. I'm not sure whether it's actually a big case. I haven't seen many others. We then unscrew the front of the case to take off the glass panel so that we can have more access to the inside of the case. Because without taking that off, we couldn't put the motherboard in, and, well, that would just be a disaster. Alright, now we have to put the I/O guard in, the back, you know, the thing that guards the I/O at the back. It's not a Fortnite reference, I promise. Then we unscrew the back of the case, so now we have full access when we take the motherboard. When we take the motherboard down to the floor where we're building the rest of the PC, because like it's just a lot easier, you know, because otherwise you've got to fit everything on your desk. It's gonna be a disaster. So we bring the motherboard down very carefully to make sure it fits in the case, which it does, thank goodness, because up until this point we hadn't done so. Then we have to unscrew a few bolts, screw a few bolts in to make sure they were in the right spots to be compatible with the motherboard. So it was able to be slotted in. Then we have to take off these guards here. Again, just quite a simple thing to do, didn't take too long. That's so we can install the GPU later on. Then we very carefully, this is at 2x speed, right, so very carefully put the motherboard into the case. Now this was a scary moment, right, because if I dropped that, everything was over. So we had to make sure that it was in the right spot before we screwed it in. Thank God it was when I put it down, because goodness, that was a kind of moment. Then we just flip it up onto its side so the case is standing, which will be a bit easier for different things later on. We have to pull the wires through the back of the case, which will be a bit easier for cable management. This is where I have to clip most of the stuff in. This whole section is pretty much just me plugging wires in. Then we put the power supply in, which was quite simple. We just had to screw it in at the front. This is actually an 850 watt power supply. So as you can tell, this PC is about to be an absolute beast when it comes to gaming. It was incredible to build. Difficult but incredible, and we're gonna do a test video next, and let me tell you, it's gonna be great. We've got Apex Legends, we got Fortnite, we got Rocket League. We're gonna try a bunch of different things for the FPS at different settings. We're just gonna try a bunch. Then we have to plug this big cable into the motherboard, because this is pretty much connecting the power supply to the motherboard, which is one of the most important parts, because otherwise we wouldn't have power to the motherboard, which is probably a better thing to have, you know. Now we unscrew this, and this is so that we can put the graphics card in even. Like I said, it's absolutely insane, and same as before, we just clip it in as if it were a RAM slot. Brilliant, pretty simple. Then we just screw it into place so it's stable, because otherwise it wouldn't be secure, and that's really not what we want. We plug it into the power supply with those cables, so now it's all powered up. Now, we move on to the final part of building this PC. I know, the video is almost done. This next part is the network card. So this is pretty much a Wi-Fi adapter, so that we can still get Wi-Fi into the case, because otherwise we would need a network cable to plug directly into the router, which we do not want. So we plugged it in the same as a RAM slot or a graphic card. Pretty simple again. Just screw it in, clip it into the motherboard. That's just about it, except for the antenna looking things that we're about to plug in after we plug it into the motherboard. Obviously I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, because we're almost done with this video, which has, like I said, been about 1.5 years in the making, which has been stressful. So yeah, we just screw the antennas in. That's the final part of the whole PC. Now we just need to turn it on and test it. Alright, so now we've got those antennas in, we plug in the power supply, boom. Have a look at that. That is the finished PC. We obviously need to turn it on, but oh my goodness. Then we plug in the HDMI cable, the keyboard, the mouse, and we do the front peel. Brilliant front peel, and the second peel. Once again, an incredible peel. Absolutely incredible. So shiny as well. It looks even better when it's on, but listen to the click. That was an incredible click. Now we just have to look at the final result. Power on, everything is in working order. Brilliant, everything still works. I didn't mess anything up while I was putting it in the case. Everything is connected up properly. Everything is detected. The final result. All we have to do now is install Windows. But before that, let's have a look at the finished computer. Oh my goodness. Right, this is what it looks like with Windows. This is me in the background. I've got my editing software. I've got my recording software. This came with a graphics card, so I have all my games recording software in there, so it's gonna be great. Alright, anyway, that's gonna be an end to the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for the next video, where, as I said, I'll be testing the PC. But thank you so much. Goodbye.